So in Shasta County, California, something big is brewing. A plan to build a new correctional facility has kicked off a major firestorm, pitting local officials against a neighborhood that feels totally blindsided. We're going to break down how a land deal, mostly made behind the scenes, exploded into a public outcry.
And that really gets to the heart of it, right? It's a classic story. The needs of a county running headfirst into the peace and quiet of a community. How this all unfolded is a fascinating lesson in local politics, public awareness, and what happens when residents decide to fight back.
So, things really came to a head on January 13th at a Redding City Planning Commission hearing. Now, this wasn't your typical sleepy government meeting. No, this was a showdown. The room was absolutely packed with residents, and it quickly became the first real public battleground over this whole project.
And this right here, this quote from a resident who's lived in the area for 47 years, it just says it all. It really captures the feeling of betrayal. People bought their homes believing a promise was made, that this land was a permanent buffer zone. And now, suddenly, that promise feels broken.
Now, just so you know where we're getting our information, this entire breakdown is based on an opinion piece from the local publication Shasta Unfiltered. They've been on top of this story, really digging into the community side of things.
And you gotta understand, the opposition at that hearing, it was overwhelming. 35 people got up to speak, and all but one of them were against the project. This wasn't a community with mixed feelings. This was basically a united front saying no way.
So you're probably asking, how did we even get here? Well, it all started with a land lease agreement, a deal that was put together between the city of Redding and Shasta County, pretty much out of the public spotlight.
And when I say it started, man, it moved fast. Take a look at this timeline. The County Board of Supervisors gave it the green light on August 26th. Just 1 week later, a single week, the Redding City Council unanimously approved it too. In just 7 days, the deal was done.
Okay, let's break down the actual terms of this deal, because this is where your jaw might drop. We're talking about a 30-year lease for 90 acres of land, and the rent is $0. It's rent-free. But here's the kicker. The county has the option to buy the land for just $1 single after the facility has been up and running for a year. And get this, the full scope of the plan wasn't even clear at first. It was only after residents started digging into the county's official documents that they found out this wasn't just some small rehab center. Nope. The full plan includes a potential future jail big enough for over 1,200 beds.
Which, of course, brings up the big question, why this spot? Of all the places in the county, why choose a piece of land that's literally right next to a neighborhood? What was the official thinking here?
Well, the answer from Sheriff Michael Johnson is kind of stunning in its simplicity. Apparently, after other options were ruled out for being too expensive or whatever, he was given a few surplus city properties to look at. His reason for picking this one? I liked this one the best. That's it?
Now, to be fair, the official term for the first phase of a project is an alternative custody campus. It's supposed to be a facility focused on rehabilitation for nonviolent offenders, starting with a re-entry program for men. But you can see why residents are focused on that other part, right? That potential for a massive jail looming in the future.
And that brings us right back to the community and their concerns. This isn't just a simple, not in my backyard situation. They have a whole laundry list of very specific, very real worries about their safety, their environment, and just their entire way of life.
And when you look at a map, you really get it. It's all about location, location, location. This proposed 90-acre site is literally squeezed between the River Ranch neighborhood on one side and the environmentally sensitive Sacramento River on the other.
96. That's not just some statistic. That's 96 homes, 96 families in the River Ranch neighborhood who would suddenly find themselves living directly next door to this new correctional facility.
So what are they worried about? Well, the list is long. We're talking about safety for one thing. The neighborhood has limited emergency exits that have to cross railroad tracks. Then there's the environmental impact. They've even got nesting bald eagles nearby. People are also worried about their well water getting contaminated, their property values tanking, and a big one, they feel like they were never properly notified in the first place.
And it's worth pointing out, the residents aren't just shouting no without offering solutions. They're pointing to other, what they see as more logical sites. In fact, a former Redding mayor, Patrick Jones, suggested that the old county courthouse site would be far more appropriate, and in his words, the least offensive place for the project.
So, after all that, the packed meeting, the flood of opposition, where do things stand right now? Well, the answer is, it's kind of stuck.
What happened was,
The Planning Commission basically hit a wall. They tried to pass a motion to just punt the issue over to the City Council without actually recommending anything. But the motion failed. With some members absent, the vote was 3-1. They needed 4 votes to pass, so the whole thing is just sitting there at procedural limbo.
But the residents? Oh, they are not waiting around for the city to figure it out. The River Ranch Neighborhood Association has officially lawyered up. They've hired an attorney and have served the city of Reading with a formal complaint. So this fight is now moving from City Hall to the courthouse.
And that leaves us with the million-dollar question, the one posed by the source article. What happens now? Faced with this overwhelming public backlash and now a legal challenge, will city and county officials reconsider? Will they admit maybe an error was made and go back to the drawing board? Or are they going to dig in their heels, setting the stage for a long, expensive fight with the very people they're supposed to serve?